Coming up, the Jenny Wiley Theater in Pikeville is under new management this morning. We will have more on what led to the change. We will also have more on a Court of Appeals decision on a Kentucky law dealing with abortion. And the Kentucky Lottery celebrated an anniversary yesterday. We'll have more on their big day.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 5:30 on Friday, April the 5th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News this morning. Well, Friday has finally rolled around, but it's a soggy one, so get those umbrellas ready as you head out to work and ready to take your kids to school. But as Brandon's going to tell us in just a little bit, it won't last all day, and Saturday, Brandon, might shape up to be not half bad.
Absolutely, and I think the first part of Sunday, too, but we are watching the possibility for late Sunday to see the possibility for some stronger storms. More on that here in a little bit, but let's take a look at what's going on currently in the last 6 hours on the Loop satellite radar. Lots of rain, lots of green, and you see some yellows and darker oranges out there. That's indicating some heavier bands of rain, so just be careful this morning. Visibility low in some areas, so take your time, especially around I-75 and the Lake Cumberland corridor. 50s, though, for right now for temperatures, so not too bad. Forecast for today, upper 60s, close to 70, but scattered chances for rain will be around throughout much of the day. I'll have the rest of the forecast here in just a few minutes. Will?
All righty, Brandon. Thank you. Well, cutting ties. That's what the city of Pikeville is doing with the Jenny Wiley Theater location downtown. Pikeville City Manager Philip Ellswick says the group running the theater racked up a substantial amount of debt, believed to be close to $1 million. He says there was also potential financial mismanagement. Officials operating the theater had certain obligations to fulfill as part of their contract. The theater was supposed to maintain a full-time staff and produce a certain number of performances and productions.
Some time ago, we had notified them of their default on their lease when they laid off all their staff and canceled their productions.
The theater is not going away. It will be managed by the city and by the East Kentucky Expo Center. Performances will continue as scheduled. We have not been able to reach Jenny Wiley's board members for comment at this time. In other news this morning, attorneys general from 20 states have joined Kentucky Attorney General Andy Beshear in defending the state's remaining abortion clinic. Beshear and the others are defending a ruling by a district judge that says a state law is unconstitutional, that law requires abortion clinics to have signed agreements with hospitals and an ambulance service in case of emergencies. They argued that such law is unconstitutional if it is used by the state to limit access to abortion. The Bevin administration had used that law to try and close the EMW Women's Surgical Center in Louisville. Meanwhile, a federal appeals court has upheld the Kentucky law requiring doctors to perform ultrasounds and show fetal images to patients prior to abortions. The 2-1 ruling by a Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals panel marks a victory for Kentucky's Republican Governor Matt Bevin. In 2017, the law was changed by the state's last remaining abortion clinic. Well, the Kentucky Education Association has elected a new president this morning. Eddie Campbell has served as the association vice president since 2016. He is also on leave from the Knox County school system, where he is the choir director for Knox Central High School and Knox Middle Schools. His 3-year term as president will begin June 15th. Are you a coal miner out of work? Well, we might have just what you are looking for in the job hunt. Quest Energy is taking applications for 2 mines in Pike County. They hope to begin production soon. The company will mine low sulfur metallurgical coal. The coal will be processed at the McCoy Elkhorn plant just a few miles away in Kemper. To find out how to apply, just go to our website, WYMT.com, and look for the link. Well, Teleworks USA is partnering with Kelly Connect again with hopes to bring more work-from-home jobs to the region. A job fair will take place at 3 of the Teleworks hubs May 13th through the 16th. Local hubs are also hosting custom workshops throughout the month of April to prepare applicants for the job fair. In order to apply for one of the jobs during the job fair in May, applicants must first attend the workshops.
We're really proud of our partnership that we have with Kelly Connect. They fly in their recruiters from Michigan. They come back year after year because they love people in Eastern Kentucky. They love working with our clients. They love giving people jobs in Eastern Kentucky, and we love getting those jobs because they're great jobs.
Teleworks informational sessions will be held daily until the 26th of April. For more information, contact the Teleworks hub closest to you. Well, the Kentucky Lottery is celebrating a birthday this week. 30 years ago yesterday, the first ticket was sold. We visited the first store to sell a ticket. Since then, South Main Grocery in Clark County has sold everything from $1 million winners to scratch-off winners. Audrey Young says the lottery has been good to them and their customers.
I would say so, yes, because if you get a lottery, you might buy a soda, you might buy a sandwich.
I always think, well, if I win, well, they win.
Lottery officials tell us that during that first day of sales, the lottery was sold at 5,000 retailers and it generated $5 million in tickets. A Johnson County man accused of killing his wife last year will be arraigned later today. Paul LeMay, who faces a murder charge, was recently indicted by a grand jury. Police say he killed his wife by shooting her in the head. The coroner told us she was dead in their home for weeks. LeMay was also indicted on a charge of abuse of a corpse. Walter Lee Curtis will also be arraigned later today. Curtis is accused of killing Mike Jones last August in Johnson County. Police told Curtis believed Jones stole from him the day before. The grand jury indicted him on a manslaughter charge. Meanwhile, a man indicted in a Knox County murder back in January will also appear in court today. Police say Philip Lee Lewis killed 25-year-old Gary Medlin during an attempted robbery at a convenience store. Following his arrest, Lewis told us from jail someone framed him. He is still behind bars on a $1 million cash bond. To Breathitt County now, where a man is accused of killing someone's cattle. Investigators arrested John Wittenmeyer Wednesday. They say the shooting happened back in January. Police say he opened fire on a man's bull, killing the animal. The Wittenmeyer faces a charge of second-degree animal cruelty. Authorities have rejected a claim that he is an Illinois boy who disappeared in 2011 at the age of 6. The FBI says DNA testing ruled out 23-year-old Michael Reaney as being Timothy Pitson, who was missing from Aurora, Illinois. Police say the story of the man found wandering streets in Newport, Kentucky on Wednesday did not check out. Reaney told police that he was Timothy and that he had escaped two kidnappers. Pitson went missing back in 2011. 4 days later, police found his mom dead from an apparent suicide. The charges against a man accused of trying to kidnap a child at the Huntington Mall have been dropped. Muhammad Zion was able to walk away a free man at the Barboursville Police Department Thursday. This is the moment where he and his attorney, after they walked into the Barboursville Police Department to get his passport back. Both say the truth about his situation has come out, and now all of the charges against him have been dropped.
I feel like justice in this case absolutely has prevailed. Absolutely, we've received justice. We seem to be living in a time where false accusations are becoming more and more prevalent. And I think it would be great if all of us would just step back and think before we speak, if we would think before we react, if we would think before we would judge.
Of course, I feel good to find something help. One person helped me, it's a shame like her. It's very good for me to help me. I was in a bad situation, that's what I can say.
Zion's attorney says she's hoping to get the charge expunged so he can travel freely and come back to the United States with no issues. A string of E. coli cases have more than doubled. Kentucky health leaders say they know of 46 cases. Last week, we told you there were 20. Now they've spread across the state. It is still unclear how people are getting sick. Hillary Thornton explains why health officials are struggling to find an answer.
It's definitely an outbreak.
Health leaders are seeing what they say has been a dramatic increase in E. coli cases throughout the state. Last week, the number standing at 20. This morning, that number at 46, with investigators still waiting on several lab results.
It's very widespread. We have from Pike County clear out to McCracken.
They say there does seem to be a little clustering in central Kentucky. In Fayette County, their confirmed cases were at 5 last week, the total growing to 9 as those lab results come in.
Based upon the interview information that we've obtained from the cases, it doesn't really seem as though there's a common factor where people were together or eating the same things.
The folks here at the Cabinet for Health and Family Services are doing what they can to try and track down the cause for this outbreak.
It's likely to be a food source because it's been distributed far and wide, whatever it is, and to have this many cases in this short amount of time, it's unlikely that it's some other kind of source.
And because the cases are so spread out and no big common factor seeming to be in play at this point, nailing down a specific source is a tedious task. The state conducting about 45-minute interviews with each person with a confirmed case.
We go back from the point their symptoms started and then try and get them to remember what foods they ate 3 or 4 days before that.
In the meantime, health leaders are urging folks to use common sense food safety and health precautions.
First and foremost, make sure that you're cooking your meat to proper temperatures. Make sure you wash your produce, wash your hands.
In Frankfort, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
Now, health officials say about half of the confirmed cases are in children or teenagers. They say there have been 6 people hospitalized that they are aware of. Well, a new study found colon cancer screenings for Medicaid patients in Kentucky have increased 230% since the state expanded its Medicaid program. The study also found while incidence of colon cancer in Kentucky Medicaid patients increased after the expansion, more survived. That was especially true here in eastern Kentucky, where Medicaid coverage of Appalachian patients increased by 199%. Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the Plugged In crew will be in to review a movie hitting the theaters this weekend.
While the weather is not so nice right now, it will dry back out and warm back up, especially for the first part of the weekend. I'll have all those details coming up in about 3 minutes.